There are words that are not merely spoken, they are maps of the mind. Some words are not accidental, but doors that open slightly, revealing how a person truly sees love, relationships, and you. A woman might say something very gentle, very ordinary, but if you listen deeply enough, you'll realize it carries an entire value system, an inner world she lives by. And the most frightening thing is not the hurtful words spoken in anger, but the ones that seem harmless, yet slowly suffocate you little by little in an unhealthy relationship. Many men don't pay attention. They think they're being kind, giving another chance, trying for love. But the truth is, effort is not always love. Sometimes effort is just a way to delay leaving something you know is wrong, but don't have the courage to admit. A wise man is not one who knows how to endure, but one who dares to walk away. Not out of fear, but out of self-respect. So if you've ever heard the following things from a woman, stop, reflect, and if necessary, walk away. Statement 1. We don't need to define this relationship. At first, it sounds gentle. It seems to honor the natural flow of emotions. But stay alert. Anything that lasts without a clear name will eventually fade like mist in the sunlight. If you truly matter to her, you won't have to wonder what you are to each other. When a woman says she doesn't want to define the relationship, it's rarely because she wants to respect the natural process. More often, it's because she wants to enjoy the benefits of a relationship, without carrying the responsibilities of someone who's truly in love. She might go out with you, text you, even be physically intimate. But when asked, "What are we?" she'll smile and say, "Let's just keep things the way they are." The story. I once heard about Andrew, a kind, calm, and sincere man. He dated a very smart, attractive woman who always avoided serious conversations. They were together for 8 months. Every holiday, she had a reason she couldn't meet up. When he asked, she'd say, "I don't like rules or constraints." Then one day, he accidentally saw her post a photo with another man, with the caption, "My favorite person." That's when he understood. For 8 months, he was just a backup plan, someone always available, but never chosen. Love cannot be a ship with no destination. Someone who truly wants to stay will not let you wander between the shores of hope and the deserted islands of ambiguity. They will want to name you and name themselves in the story that both of you are building together. But if everything always stops at, "I don't want to define anything," then most likely you're the only one who sees this as a relationship. Don't lie to yourself. You may hope she'll change, that if you're just a little better, a little more genuine, she'll realize your worth. But that's the trap. Because this ambiguity isn't due to lack of time, it's due to lack of intention. A woman who wants something serious will ask, "Where are we heading?" A woman who only wants to keep you as an option will say, "Let's just go with the flow." And imagine this. You get hired to work at a company. No contract, no job title, no roadmap, just showing up and getting paid on a whim. Would you feel respected? Would you feel secure? Then why would you accept the same in love? Remember, clarity is not a cage. It is respect. And if she can't give you that bare minimum, then you should give yourself another chance with someone else. A woman who loves you will not want to lose you. And no one who loves truly will let the relationship drift forever in the dark, unnamed and undefined. Statement 2. Accept me as I am. At first glance, this sounds like a confident declaration that she knows who she is, doesn't pretend, doesn't try to please others. And in a certain sense, that is admirable. Everyone has the right to be themselves, but be cautious, because sometimes behind that declaration lies a refusal to grow, an unwillingness to collaborate in building a relationship. She's not saying, "I'm learning to be better every day." She's saying, "Love me as I am, including the parts that hurt you, and I have no intention of changing." True love doesn't demand perfection, but it does require two people looking forward together, both trying to become better for each other. When one person refuses to change and the other constantly has to adjust, that's not love, that's imbalance. The story. Max dated Jolie, a spontaneous, free-spirited woman. At first he was drawn to her carefree nature, but over time her disorganization, frequent tardiness and broken promises wore him down. One time, when he gently brought up the fact that she was nearly an hour late to their date, she just smiled and said, "That's just how I am. If you really love me, you have to accept it." Max stayed quiet. He didn't want to control her, but he also didn't want to keep feeling disrespected. What hurt him wasn't just that she was late, but that she didn't think it was something worth changing for him. Loving someone doesn't mean forcing them to change into your ideal, but it also doesn't mean ignoring the other person's feelings and covering it up with, "That's just who I am." If only one person is putting in the effort, it's no longer a relationship. The phrase "accept me as I am" should come with a spirit of growth, like saying, "I'm learning to become a better version of myself, but this is my starting point." That's sincerity. But if it's a final statement that shuts down all feedback and growth, it's a sign of stubbornness. Imagine living with someone, and every time you express that something hurt you, they respond, "You're too sensitive, I'm not wrong." How long could you live with that pain being ignored? How long could you love without being understood? Love must have room for truth and for change. No one is perfect, but someone who loves you will listen. They will consider what you say. They won't use personality as a reason to keep hurting you. Don't confuse honesty with hard-headedness. A mature woman is someone who dares to face her flaws and take steps, even small ones, to grow in love. You don't need someone perfect, but you do need someone who listens, someone who adjusts when necessary, someone who understands that love is a journey of two imperfect people, growing together. And if she sees you as someone who must accept everything, but never once considers changing for you, then ask yourself, are you in love or just enduring? Statement 3. You're lucky to have me. There is a big difference between a confident woman and an arrogant one. A woman who knows her worth will show it quietly, through the way she lives, treats others, and loves. But a woman who keeps telling you that you're lucky to have her is usually trying to establish dominance in the relationship. When she keeps planting the idea in your mind that you should be grateful to be with me, it doesn't just devalue you, it makes you live in a constant sense of deficiency, where you feel like you must always do more just to continue being loved. The story. Andy was a quiet, kind man who always treated his girlfriend with care. But the woman he chose had a habit of constantly saying, "You're lucky to have me. I'm the kind of woman men line up for and still can't get." At first, Andy thought it was a joke, but over time he realized she used it as an invisible whip. Every time he voiced an opinion, every time he needed her to listen, that phrase came back as an excuse for her not to change. In a healthy relationship, both people should feel valued. The preciousness lies not in who is the prize, but in how both give value and lift each other up. Love isn't a throne for one person to sit on while the other kneels in devotion. It's a shared path where both are grateful to have each other, and no one has to lose themselves to stay. Ask yourself, have you ever found yourself constantly trying to deserve someone while they never once asked, "What have I done to deserve you?" If she makes you feel like you constantly have to prove yourself, beg to be loved, fear losing her, that's not love. That's emotional imbalance. You deserve to be loved for who you are, not because you do enough, buy enough, or tolerate enough. Someone who truly loves you will never make you question your own worth. And you don't need to be with someone who keeps repeating, "You're lucky to have me." Instead of saying it, a kind woman will make you feel it. Through her eyes, her actions, her sincere respect. Don't let yourself drown in a kind of love where you're always the grateful recipient. Because one day you'll wake up and realize what you called love was really just a fight for approval from someone who never intended to love you with an equal heart. Statement 4. All my exes were terrible. When a woman says that all of her exes were terrible, be cautious. Not because you're standing in front of a helpless victim, but because you may be standing in front of someone who has never learned anything from the past. Maybe 1 or 2 past relationships didn't go well. That happens to everyone. But if every man she has ever loved was toxic, a cheater, a terrible person, then that's no longer coincidence. That's a pattern. Someone who can't look back at themselves in the past will not be able to change their future. The story. Henry once fell in love with a woman who appeared sweet on the outside but was full of anger within. She often told him that all her exes had lied, mistreated her and caused her pain. At first, Henry felt sympathy and thought, I'll be the one to treat her differently. But after just a few months, he started to feel controlled. Every time he didn't do what she wanted, she would say, "You're just like them." Henry realized she wasn't seeking healing. She was looking for someone new to blame when things fell apart again. Mature love requires both people to be brave enough to look at the past and admit, I made mistakes too. If someone has never said that, then maybe they've never truly learned anything. And no matter how kind you are, you can't heal someone by simply being the opposite of their ex. Because if they still carry anger, resentment, and a habit of blaming, sooner or later you'll be pulled into that spiral. You are not here to be the proof that not all people are like their past. You're here to build a fair relationship where both people learn, grow, and correct mistakes together. If that's not happening, don't turn yourself into the next good guy on a growing list of people to resent. Real love doesn't erase the past. It learns how to look at it honestly. A mature woman won't say, all my exes were wrong. She'll say, I made mistakes in choosing the wrong people, and I'm learning to choose better. Only when she's able to look back at herself, can you know she's someone who can build something lasting with you, with both awareness and accountability. Chidiki. Statement 5. If you love me, you will. This statement may sound reasonable at first, because who doesn't want their partner to show love through actions? But be cautious, because the line between a valid request and emotional manipulation is very thin. When a woman says, if you love me, you will, what she's doing is not communicating. She's setting conditions. She's turning love into a transaction. True love doesn't require tests. It doesn't need someone to prove anything. True love understands affection only has value when it's given freely, not forced, not bargained for. The story. Jason dated a woman who appeared gentle on the outside but had hidden agendas. At first she asked him to cancel a few outings with friends, softly saying, "If you love me, you'll prioritize me." He agreed. Then gradually all her needs came wrapped in that same phrase, "If you love me, you won't do that." Until one day, when he declined to take her on a trip because of a work conflict, she burst into tears. "So you don't really love me, do you?" Jason realized he was being controlled through love. He loved her, but she was using that very love to make him lose his freedom, his friendships, and himself. Love should never come with fear. Fear of being misunderstood, fear of being seen as not enough, fear of losing someone just because you didn't meet a demand. Each time you give in just to preserve love, you are trading your self-respect for a kind of peace. That isn't really peace. A woman who truly loves you won't ask you to give up everything to prove your love. She will understand that love is not about unconditional submission, but about knowing where healthy boundaries lie. She'll understand that love lasts when both people remain themselves, not when they become each other's projection of expectation. You can be generous, you can make sacrifices, but no one should be forced to choose between love and freedom, between pleasing the other and staying true to who they are. Always listen to what she says, but never let a phrase like "if you love me, you will" become the standard by which your love is measured. Because if your love is constantly being tested, you're not in a relationship, you're in a never-ending competition. Real love is freedom. It is listening. It is building together, not bargaining wrapped in the words "if, then." Conclusion. True love doesn't make you smaller, doesn't make you lose yourself, and doesn't turn you into someone who's always proving, always worried if they're enough. If you hear any of these 5 statements, don't react right away. But listen deeply, because sometimes a simple sentence is a sign of something much bigger, that you're loving the wrong person or living in an unhealthy relationship. Leaving is not failure. Leaving is the beginning of self-respect. You were not born to be a backdrop for someone else's power. You do not exist just to fill a void in someone's heart. You do not need to suffer just to call it love. The right love will never make you question your worth every day. The right love doesn't play mind games. The right love helps both people grow, become better, and feel at peace when they're together. And if you're brave enough to walk away from what doesn't deserve you, then you're also brave enough to welcome something that does. You don't need to stay where you're only loved when you do things right. Walk away so you can be loved for who you truly are.